Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for being here and listening to this very special panel that we have prepared for you. So we are going to talk about connectivity, and I will just have a very small introduction to just set the scene. As you know, the use of satellites to extend terrestrial coverage is nothing new. Satellites have helped doing so for decades. However, today, what we are seeing is that non-geostationary orbit satellites, or NGSOs, are reshaping this future of the communications and are offering new possibilities. While NGSOs have been in operation since the late 50s, the paradigm shift that has come with the new space economy, with enabling smaller and cheaper satellites and also reducing the cost of the launch of these satellites, have encouraged the development of constellations, especially in low Earth orbit LEO. That satisfies growing demand on connectivity, high speed, and reliable communications. On the other hand, we are seeing that geostationary satellites are also innovating. They are adding advanced digital payloads that allow more flexibility in how they allocate resources in orbit. They are also designing new high-throughput satellites, which are delivering greater volumes of data. And we also find that software-defined networks are allowing for seamless integration with terrestrial networks. So we are seeing that the advancement in both LEO and GEO are drastically changing how the world is communicating. Together, both LEO and GEO offer a robust and versatile network that can serve a variety of needs, and this is what we are going to discuss today. So we are seeing that as the need for global connectivity continues growing, both approaches will play a pivotal role in the future of communication. So that's why I would like to introduce you the panelists here. So I'll start from the far end. Carlos Zamora, he's Vice President of Software Solutions at Rivada Space Networks. Then Javier Berglison is Head of Innovation and EU Affairs at Hispasat. Jaume Sanpera, he's the founder and CEO at Satèl. And Mireia Colina, Senior Business Development Manager at INDRA. I'll just give you just a very short intro to each of them, and I'll allow them to explain a little bit about how their companies are working in this topic of the connectivity. So Carlos, his experience in the space sector spans a wide range of missions from interplanetary exploration to Earth observation, satellite communications. He's a passionate innovator, and he has dedicated most of his professional career developing systems and infrastructure that allows the managing complex constellations. At Rivada Space, he leads the software development and cloud infrastructure teams, which are responsible for ensuring the successful operation of the satellite constellation software. So tell us a little bit about how Rivada is working in this new paradigm of communications.
So Rivada is deploying a constellation of 600 LEO satellites using a gateway-less architecture. And we are using a mesh of inter-satellite laser links to connect the global network to offer point-to-point, secure, and low latency and high-speed communications around the world.
Thank you, sorry. I'll continue with Javier. Javier is a degree-educated telecommunications engineer who started his professional career in France and Spain under an EADS Airbus program. Then later on, he joined Hispasat, where he's currently working, and he has held a variety of roles inside the organization, ranging from international regulatory affairs and frequency coordination, strategy in Europe, and innovation. Currently, he's heading Hispasat's efforts in innovation and European programs. So what about Hispasat?
So thank you. Well, first of all, thank you very much for the opportunity to participate in this panel. I think it's going to be very interesting to understand the different views on the matter. I think that you provided a very good introduction focusing on GEO and LEO and how we are tackling this from the perspective of Hispasat. So Hispasat provides services in the geostationary orbit with a fleet of 8 satellites today. Okay? GEO has been the king in the past decades, as I believe we all know. It provides reliability. It provides simplicity of the user terminal, so you just need an antenna dish to have connectivity. And it's very efficient. So with just one satellite, you can point the power in the area that you need to. So in that regard, it is very efficient, and I would say very convenient for a regional operator such as Hispasat. But the market has been disrupted. We all know that. We can mention Starlink. We can mention others, as Rivada, that are developing systems to provide the connectivity from LEO. I believe, and you can complement me, but I believe that LEO provides mainly a lot of capacity, and most importantly, low latency. So how we are approaching that at Hispasat? So we are trying to listen to the market, and the response that we obtain is that they actually want it all. They want the advantages from GEO and the advantages from LEO. So the approach that we are taking is a multi-orbit solution that we are applying in some use cases in which we enable connectivity with GEO and LEO, and we have the reliability of GEO, the low latency of LEO, and the customer service enabled by a company such as Hispasat.
Thank you. Jaume. Jaume is an experienced CEO with extensive experience in telecommunications, in the telecommunications industry. Jaume is also a reference in Spain for technological entrepreneurship. He has founded several companies, mainly in the telecom world, including Rodona, a publicly traded company with a strong international presence, which was the first telecom satellite operator in Europe. Jaume is backed by almost 30 years of experience and has numerous achievements in this sector. The last one, Satèl, which is in the race to become the first satellite communication service provider in the world to offer IoT connectivity over standard 5G. So how is Satèl fitting in this ecosystem?
Okay, the first, we are not going to be the first, we are the first. Okay, we just launched the 16th of August. No, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Okay, we launched just the 16th of August, yes, our first 4 satellites, which are performing very well. Okay, and with this, okay, we enter in a new area of the company. Since today, we have been developing the technology for the last 6 years. It has been a long trip, a long journey since last month, when we finally, we had already launched a couple of satellites, but there were test satellites. Now that we have commercial satellites, the company is in another stage. We are going to start beginning next year to connect final users for IoT. We are narrow one. We do not compete with Starlink. We do not compete with Hispasat. And the unique characteristic of our satellites is that it connects directly fully standard devices. This means that since today, okay, all the satellite industry has been delivering not just the satellites, but also the UE, the user equipment, which has been always proprietary. With our constellation, we changed that, and we are using directly the same devices that today all the mobile operators in the world are using, which is a standard. It's called NB-IoT. There are already around 3-4 billion devices already deployed in the world that are the same, that are going to be connected to our satellite when they use the coverage of the mobile operators. Then we define ourselves as an extension of coverage of the mobile operators in order to deliver connectivity in places where it doesn't make any sense in economic key, okay, to deploy terrestrial networks.
Thank you. And last but not least, Mireia Colina. Mireia holds a double degree in telecommunications engineer from Universitat Politècnica de Catalunya and Politecnico de Torino. Her career spans more than 20 years in the space sector, having worked in research centers, international institutions like ESA-ESTEC, established companies like INDRA or GPD, and startups like LeafSpace. Mireia has recently returned to INDRA, where she continues her work in the space and technology sectors, and on top of that, she was awarded Premi Dona TIC in 2023, an award recognizing key women in the IT sector, in recognition of her significant contributions to the tech industry and her efforts to promote gender equality. So, Mireia, tell us about how INDRA fits in this ecosystem.
Okay. INDRA is, I think that everybody knows INDRA, and I'm not sure that everybody knows that recently INDRA has subrogated and created a new corporation called INDRA Espacio. INDRA Espacio is the demonstration of the commitment in the space sector. The main characteristics of this new company is that we have the same expertise than until now, more ambition, and also more support. When I want to say that we have the same expertise is because the team is the same. We have been working with main space agency, governments, and commercial industry for over 30 years. We are working with ESA, with EUSPA for navigation programs, and at the same time, we are working also for Earth observation communications, quantum communications, and all the other sectors that could be also in the space. For example, I want to talk about navigation, because navigation is the part focused here in Barcelona. We are a key player on the European industry, and we are involved in programs like EGNOS and Galileo. Regarding the ambition, yes, we have more ambition. Our idea is to transform INDRA to become the Spanish reference industry in the space field. And that means that, of course, we want to grow, we want to invest, and consequently, we have more support. INDRA Espacio is still INDRA Group company. That means that any internal and support is coming from the engineering point of view, but also from investment point of view. Some key partnerships like Satèl or Hispasat are two perfect examples, and then there are some investments that maybe I will explain later. But some of them are focused also on the communication systems.
All right, then we have something to discover later on.
Yeah, of course.
Keeping the intrigue. All right, so I'm going to throw a couple of questions here to the panel. Before, in the break, they were asking me if they have to be very politically correct or not. So I focus some of these questions targeting some of them so they can also explain a bit. But I give you my permission to jump in if you want to add to any of your colleagues. And I think the public will also appreciate not such a corseted discussion, but a bit more open. So my first question was that we are currently seeing two approaches tackling the telecom broadband market. On one side, we have the new constellations that we were talking, which are specifically built to address specific needs and specific markets. And on the other side, we have consolidated operators that are using their existing fleets to also kind of tailor the offering they have to also cater for these needs. Both are trying to serve as well as governmental and business customers, and as well the home market. So that was a question for our more broadband colleagues here. Do you think these approaches are compatible? Are you competing? It depends on when and how. And do you think, is there room to accommodate these different approaches? Or, I know this is like asking a crystal ball and we don't know, but going into the future, is this going to be sustainable or not? So, Carlos, Javier.
So I think it's clear that there has been a disruption in the market of broadband by the introduction of the new LEO constellations. And some years ago, there were assumptions that based on the amount of funding available, the amount of user demands, there was only places for maybe 2-3 operators. But we are clearly seeing that this is not true. And that basically all is driven by the demands and the different demands, and not everything is broadband. And I always like to compare personally, the connectivity industry to transport. For example, Lufthansa is very good on bringing a lot of people from large distances, but when you arrive to the airport, you always have to go home in taxi. And I think in the same way, not everything is broadband, not every broadband is the same, and users are trying or are needing different kinds of services. So in Rivada, we focus very much on low latency, global point-to-point and high secure data, which might not be the same that Hispasat or Satellite is following, and we all have different market niches, and we see that this is actually growing. You know, we have in Rivada MOUs for value of 13 billion, so kind of validating that there is the need for this kind of connectivity, and I think you know, that there is at the end of the day place for all of these different players, and not only that, I think that you know, we tend to want to compare things like old versus new, Geo versus Leo, and I would rather say like not how we can compete, but rather how we can collaborate to, you know, to offer end-to-end service. Because if you ask the users, the end users, they do not care whether this is Leo, Geo, or whatever technology. They just want a specific connectivity, and maybe you know, what we need to do is, you know, cooperate among us to provide that end user with the service that they want.
Yep, nice. Collaboration is key in the space sector. I think this is one of the key words. Javier.
No, indeed, I can only adhere to what you just said. I mean, in my introduction, I referred to multi-orbit connectivity. You more or less have suggested, you know, try to complement with different networks. I fully agree with that. This is actually our strategy. So in terms, it's true what you pointed out, that there is number of systems that are planning to be deployed in LEO orbit. So this, we can call it these mega constellations. And there is also always the question of how many mega constellations can the market sustain. I think you pointed out a good point, which is the financing, which is one of the key aspects. But we also need to look at the end product and how one differentiates from the other, and you also pointed that out. And also other aspects such as a spectrum or even sovereignty. So it could be that one country, one region wants to deploy a system because of sovereignty.
That's indeed something that I'm not going to touch in the questions, but there were some issues there that maybe at the end we can just highlight about frequency regulation and all this. Well, I'll go to the second question. So we were discussing at the beginning that the democratization of space with the lowering costs in satellite manufacturing and more accessible launches means that more sectors are considering satellites to solve their challenges, which before they didn't. This is raising the demand, both on the manufacturing side and also on the launch side. And we are seeing, or we are perceiving, that there are delays for various reasons, some more geopolitical, but there is a concern about how fast can the industry adapt to this new pace of manufacturing. So I had a question more for INDRA about how are you dealing with this change? Because we are going from missions that were thought and designed with a lot of time and years, and now we are just going to an economy where it's asking us to be very agile and very quick. So how are you adapting to that?
INDRA recognized the new paradigm, and that means a lot of changes, not just for the space industry, but for any market or sector. One of the strategies that we are following in INDRA, the way that facing these challenges is different strategies. I think that one of the main one is the investment of 100 million euros in the creation of a technological hub. This technological hub will allow INDRA to transform all the engineering and production models, towards to the Industry 4.0. The idea is digitalize and use the new technologies like artificial intelligence and any kind of approach that could be used in any market that INDRA is working on. But of course, space is a specific topic where we invest and we believe a lot, and it will take a key part of this technological hub. And in particular, in Catalonia, we bet on a space, and the idea is try to create a space hub that allow us to deploy and demonstrate solutions focused on end users.
Okay, interesting. We will stay tuned to that and see more, of course.
Claudia, I think that you named something that it's important. It's launchers. I think that the high risk of the industry is in the launchers. We have today one launcher. Okay, let's be clear. The rest of the industry is not there. It's far from being there, and we all depend on this launcher that we know that it's managed by Elon, which is not the
Our friend.
it's not the one, okay, that want to have the future in his hands. Okay, and this is something that really we have to deal with, even more than the shortage of subsystems. We just as an anecdote, we just launched the 16th of August. We only knew that we are going to be launched the 16th of August 3 years before. I see the days before. Okay, which is it represents, okay, the power that it has over all the sector, that just 3 days before you know that your satellites are going to be launched the 16th. And he has all the capacity before we got Soyuz, which has already disappeared because of obvious reasons. And there are a bunch of new launchers that I know there are somebody here, okay, that are very promising, but they are still not there. And this combined with the capacity of Starlink, I think that we name the elephant in the room. Okay, we are all the cooperation that we put on the table. It's because we have a very difficult competitor on the market that is doing its manufacturing, launching, and final services. Yes. And this integration, this vertical integration, that has been always something that the industry has, the Spanish tale of zapatero to zapatos. Okay, it seems that here it's not working anymore. Okay, because he has all the different stages of the deployment of the service in his hands, and it's a very fierce competitor that, for sovereign reasons, we have to deal with. But I think that it's something that we have to put on the table, because it's something that we have to fight.
Absolutely. Are you experiencing, Rivada, you're also building your constellation. Are you experiencing problems in the supply chain at the moment? Is it an issue for you? Or are you more, like in the case of Satélite, more worried about the launch?
Well, I mean, I think it's a funny time where we are not really worried right now about the launcher, where if you asked 10 years ago what was the problem always was the launcher, it's not anymore that. So it's good in one way. Obviously with the concerns that Jaume mentioned there, but on our case, the main issue is the building line. You know, we are not anymore in a situation where we need to produce one satellite per year. We maybe need to produce one satellite or two satellites per week, and is the industry ready for that to cater that demand? And it's not only us coming. There's other players that also need that capacity. So now I think it's a fearful fight to see who gets that manufacturing capability, and not only at assembly line but at supplier line. I mean, we are talking about inter-satellite links. This is an emerging market, and actually now even Elon has gone to this market, so more integration there. So I think it's a quite exciting moment to be in the industry, and let's see how this plays out, because everything is changing, and we need to navigate around that.
All right, thank you. I'll go on with another question. So just moving a bit away from the challenges and the problems, let's look at the bright side. So global connectivity is enabling new services or reinventing services that already existed but delivered in a different way. And this is the case for Satèl and for Rivada Space. From your perspective, I open it to both of you, do you expect other services to appear that are basically triggered by your constellations? Can you imagine if this will spark some other services that maybe they were not thought at the beginning? And I'll continue with something more. Do you expect to provide other services beyond your main core service?
Then we have already seen a bunch of new services appearing. Once you provide into the market connectivity with a device that it costs $10 instead of $200, that it costs or $150 that costs an Iridium terminal, which today is the leader of the market. And once you provide connectivity at 2.5 euros a month for IoT, which we are talking always narrowband, nothing to do with Rivada, okay, far away from being broadband, and we do not pretend that. Okay, but then a lot of new ideas come into the table in order to connect things that you never think about. Okay, yeah. Of course, we have started with the typical sectors. Why? Today, what we are providing is the first phase of our service, which is a daily service, which means several messages per day. We are not close to near real time or to real time. Then with these few services a day, what we have seen is a lot of agrotech, which has a huge impact in countries. We are in a country, you have to take into account, we are in a very privileged country where the connectivity is everywhere. Okay, but then when you move in the world of and countries like Brazil, where you have a lot of presence, where there is very bad connectivity, and there is a huge country, 25% of the GDP of Brazil, it's agriculture, it's agro sector. Then cattle management, of course, we think on cows in the middle, but we have projects for cows, but we have projects for camels, we have for bees, to being connected in the middle of nowhere in order to know what, how they are behaving. Then we have projects of infrastructures. We have all kinds of different projects of connectivity in the sector that we call massive IoT. Because critical IoT, there was already a solution there. If you need to connect something in the middle of nowhere, there was a solution that it was very well provided by incumbent providers. Okay? But today, with massive IoT, change everything. Then, of course, we have been approached by the defense sector, which is a sector that we, all of us, it's not our favorite sector, but it's there, and we have to recognize at the moment it's difficult. The geopolitical moment it's difficult, and then there is a need for sovereign connectivity in the middle of nowhere, asset management, and all the rest. And then we have started something that I am very proud of, which is when you launch a LEO satellite constellation, you have global coverage, and you have capacity in places where there is no business. But on those places, sometimes there are NGOs who are doing very exciting things, and to provide free of charge connectivity. For example, we have signed with World Wide Fund or with SOS Amazonia that has a very nice project of fire detection that today was very poorly developed due to the cost of the terminal, due to the cost of connectivity. And when you tell them, okay, you have all the connectivity you need, okay, because we are going to offer in this place where there is no much customers, okay, free of charge connectivity. It changed the way, okay, they are developing. And all this, it's this type of changes that you see, and you haven't think it before, but it appears once you provide this capability.
Yeah, so from in my opinion, my personal opinion, so I think that once the players have been consolidated, because right now I think everyone is fighting to be the first to be there, and they're very focused on actually fulfilling their business model. I think once we've passed that in a couple of years, I'm sure there's going to be players like maybe even Rivada or Satellite or so, where they maybe approach other people where they can come together and share a platform for their service. So we have been approached to say, would you like or would you host our payload? Because I think most of the barriers of entry to the market is obviously the fact that launching a satellite it has reduced significantly in cost, but still is quite expensive, and not many people can have access to huge funding to put their payload on a platform, and mega constellations provide this ability. So I'm sure we will see mega constellations providing other services for other hosted payloads, and this will open the door for sure other services than it's not only connectivity.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that the key word is the global connectivity. At the end, if we have global connectivity, we can invent new applications, anything that could be not now in our mind. It's like the smartphones when arrive, okay, and with the global connectivity, it has been changed everything. For example, an example, ECNOS. ECNOS, it has been focused on aviation. But, for example, not everybody knows that one of the main applications or the main benefits is not in aviation, but is in agriculture. Okay, what is called agriculture of precision. Yeah. Okay, it's plenty of benefits for the farmer or the one that is the agricultor, that is saving a lot of money and creating a lot of applications and new possibilities. I think that the key aspect is the connectivity, global connectivity.
Javier.
Oh, it was just quickly to complement to what Carlos said. I fully agree that I would say the market of sharing platforms and embarking systems together is something that we are seeing more and more in the market. So in our case, from geostationary, okay, we are already doing that with other players that we partner with them and they embark their payload in our satellite. We don't care what they do. Sometimes it's a black box. But it's also another revenue line, I would say, for an operator that I believe we'll see more and more in the future. Even more when we launch this type of ambitious LEO constellations with many satellites and many advantages that can be also used for that.
And now that you are talking, what about, do you envision also new services? I mean, you were touching on multi-orbit, and I know you have a fleet that's been there for a long time, and it has already unlocked new services, but what do you see as maybe things that we cannot expect at the moment as is coming up, or what customers ask you that may unlock new things that we haven't seen?
Okay. So I'd say that how I see things is, I think that the type of services in terms of broadband is going to remain similar. I think that the arrival of LEO constellation brings mainly low latency, and you also pointed out something very interesting, which is the possibility to do, in the case of constellation with inter-satellite links, to do data repatriation. So for secure communication is something very important. So you have a user deployed somewhere else, and you can repatriate information directly to your country. So in the case of governmental communication, it is something very relevant. Yeah.
All right. Okay. I have a last question. We are just jumping a bit more from the innovation of services to the innovation in technology. So what we are seeing with this landscape, with the eruption of the constellations, is that there is a lot of innovation that comes with it. It's sometimes forced innovation because LEO constellations have a lot of potential, but as you all know, they also come with a lot of challenges, which make that a lot of engineering minds are trying to solve these challenges. And that makes LEO, so companies working in LEO, being sometimes a step ahead in innovation. And that makes that established companies maybe have to rethink a little bit about the strategy and how to stay relevant, because there is a lot of innovation coming through. And for example, I'm talking in specific terms, thinking about how you can deploy more hardware in orbit and more powerful, or how you can add more flexibility to what already we have, right? And things like that. So in the case of Hispasat and INDRA, that you are more established, how do you deal with this new influx of innovation? How do you make it your own? How do you deal with it? So just...
So from a Hispasat perspective, so in this topic, so we are, I'd say that we participate in a number of programs related with innovation, to testing new technologies, to also keep track of what's going on in the market. And later, again, as you said, try to implement it. We have the challenge when it comes to space systems that you need to launch, and it takes there's a considered investment and risk associated to that that we also need to take into account.
Yeah.
From INDRA side, one of the main, to prepare the future, one of the main key programs is Startical. Startical is a constellation. It's not like Rodona, but it's more than 250 satellites, with the objective to provide real-time surveillance and communication services. The key, as I say, is to be a global coverage, to provide to transoceanic flights these communications services in case of necessity or surveillance. The system is delivering the critical voice on that usually are doing with the control centers, with the control towers at the airport. It's a service that it will be done in a global way. That means that we need to focus on the flexibility, and also we are developing a platform called Mànager that it will be used for this constellation, but we're investing and we are learning and growing to use this platform for multi-orbits, and to have also the possibility to integrate different payloads and different systems in order to provide the service at the end users or the end customers that they could need. And then we're also working on different sectors like Earth observation, where, for example, we are developing a new product that is called On-EO, that is artificial intelligence, is a platform that is integrating artificial intelligence with high advanced satellite imagery. But for us, the key is to find solutions and technologies that provide us this flexibility to be working in different environments.
I think that this is a must for all of us. Continuous innovation, it has entered on the sector. I remember the first time that I met with a CEO of one incumbent operator, and they talked me about CapEx holidays. Okay, and it was a concept that was very surprising to me, because this meant, okay, in the past that when you launch a constellation, you launch a satellite, you have 10 years of service or 15 years of service, and this was a period of CapEx holidays. Okay, then you don't have to do more CapEx, you don't have to worry about doing new services till 15 years away, okay, from the launch. Then this has absolutely changed. We of us, we are in a high pressure by competitors, okay, that appear every day. Then the services are appearing continuously. Okay. In our case, we started with IoT. IoT was our focus, and then something happened in the market. Appears the Pixel 9, the last mobile phone, the smartphone of Google, with NB-IoT embedded. It appeared the Snapdragon, that it has NB-IoT embedded, and then suddenly we found, okay, that the service that it was only focused for IoT it was opening to smartphones. We changed absolutely the way you have to deliver the service. Of course, you cannot deliver twice a day because you cannot stay with the smartphone waiting for the next satellite. Okay, you have to go directly to, or you have to go closely to the real time. And this is the force of the market, that it changed continuously, and we, all of us, we are in this new market that has been disrupted by Starlink, but it's continuously disrupted by new companies like Startical, that a service that it was historically done by from the tower. Okay, now it could be done from a satellite, and then I think that it's a very interesting moment for the industry that has been living on closed markets for a long time, and now everything is changing every 2 years.
Yeah. Evolving.
Evolving.
So I think it's good that Jaume, you mentioned CapEx, because I actually wanted to mention OpEx. Because I think one of the main disruptions that we have seen, and I've been fortunately enough to see that transition. So I've been working in places where we were 30 engineers managing one satellite, and with the introduction of mega constellations, the paradigm changed completely. I mean, you probably have one person managing 30 satellites, so you have to invest a lot on making those things viable from a business perspective, and introduction of automation, AI, or any kind of technologies that helps you close your business case is fundamental, because otherwise, your CapEx is just your first problem, but once everything is launched, you're going to die from OpEx problems. And I think this is maybe something that operators like Rivada are pushing out of necessity, but can end up benefiting many other players that traditionally were not faced with these kind of problems, but they can also benefit from all of this.
If I could complement, I really like the joke on the...
I let you do this, and then I'm told we have to finish. So, but no, please, go ahead.
No, it was just to say that I really enjoyed the joke on CapEx holidays. Don't tell me if it was my CEO or...
No, it was not. It was not.
No, because it's true that from the... So it's kind of what I try to convey, that when you launch something in space, it's going to be there, in the case of Geo, for 15 years. So you are very adverse to innovate. It's going to be there for 15 years. You try sometimes to bring the innovation on the ground that you can easily adapt to, and have something very simple in space. That is possibly changing with the arrival of software-defined payloads, reconfigurable in orbit, etc. But it's something that has been affecting the market a lot.
But NewSpace is something that allows us to move quickly also on the technologies on space. That's one of the main advantages of NewSpace.
I'm sorry, because I know we are just now kind of getting warm here, but I would like to thank all of you for your views and for your opinions and for sharing this time with us. I'll just say one word before we leave, is that as we've seen, there is a lot of innovation coming through. We've mentioned a few things during the conversation, like integration between terrestrial and satellite networks are going to be a thing, multi-orbit satellites, inter-satellite links have been there too. We haven't talked a lot about optical communications, but they are coming to software-defined radios and ground segments. We'll lightly touch now at the end, and ground segments as well, so as a service. So we have a lot of innovation coming. So I hope next year maybe we can talk again and see where we are. So thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of the Congress.
Gracias, Carlos.